What is up, Batch Leads Nation? This is Nathan Payne. I got Nick on here. What's up, bro?
What's up, guys? How's it going, man?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I hope everybody that's watching this is doing great because today we got a great episode for you. We're going to talk about the things that people don't tell you about cold calling, how it can help you be successful, what they're holding back, and what you can apply when you're doing it yourself. Now, obviously, if you do it with a team, it's a little different. You got to train them, but we're going to be diving into specific things that can help you as you cold call when you're starting out to begin with. I know a lot of people that still cold call and they've been doing it for many years. So it's not like it has to be an activity that you only do and then you later delegate. It's up to you. Some people are monsters on that phone.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Nicholas, I know you're a fiend and you're expert at cold calling. I have a couple things that I know that have helped me as I've called, because sometimes I get a lead and I have to call it, right? And it's a cold lead. It's someone that I've never talked to. And there's specific things that kind of release the tension, release, that person. Because if someone were to call me right now and just be like, hey, I was wondering if you have a house for sale, I'd be like, I mean, who is this? So
Yeah, right.
you definitely have some steps that you need to take when calling. So Nick, you got something that you want to drop? We can kind of flow back and forth, and maybe anybody that's watching this can just type in, say what they know to be true or what they've found to work for them. Let's dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah. So the main things are that what's it going to take to have a conversation with somebody? If you were to walk up to someone on the street, hey, you want to sell your house? They would probably call the police.
Yeah.
So it's like we'd have to. One thing I'm really good at is taking something else, like what would the in-person interaction look like? What would that have to look like? Well, let me try to apply that to the phone interaction and then try to get those same results. So, I don't know. We've all had this moment in our lives. You ever have someone just walk up to you and for no reason at all, they just start telling you everything about their life story and
Yeah, I feel
everything
like
that's going on?
yeah, no, I feel like those people are either lonely or they need a hug, a friend. There's something
Yeah,
going on. Usually, you're like,
yeah, exactly.
something not right.
And so what happens is, they are basically fast forwarding vulnerability with you. They're talking to you like they've known you their whole lives. And I think it's important for us to get the homeowner in a vulnerable state as quickly as possible. As the cold caller, us, it's harder than it sounds to be the money because we're technically the rich person who wants to buy their house,
Mm.
but we're also their house therapist too. Hey, why don't you tell me what's going on? Let me tell you what people have done to their homes, they take it very seriously. If their home is a piece of shit, they take it personal that it's a piece of shit. They don't just want to be like, I bought this $1 million home and I tore it to the fucking ground because I'm so careless. Nobody's proud of that story. Okay.
Yeah, true.
Nobody. And so I think the best thing that we can do is really do what we can to create vulnerability around that. And a couple of things that create vulnerability, it's basically rapport, right? But it's, moving slowly, not talking too fast. It's so important to move at their pace, right? And their pace could be anything. Their speaking cadence, how fast they talk, like whatever it might be, or how fast their brain moves. But we cannot move faster than them. Me personally, I'm a very fast person. And one thing I've learned is slow people hate me. Okay. So if I meet a slow person, I have to naturally slow down a little bit because if I stay fast, they're going to hate me. So I have to really adapt who I am and what I bring to the table to really make that happen. So that's called mirroring. So one thing I like to do is I like them to say hello first,
Ring, ring.
and yeah, exactly. Hello, and then you'd be surprised. I match that energy.
Right.
Hello, hey. If they're excited, I'm excited. If they're slow, I'm slow. And just based off the hello, and I'll tell you, the hello is going to tell you everything. Like you're like, nah, I need more to work with. No, you don't. Okay, you need to listen to that hello, and then continue matching. They get excited, you get excited. You want to stay in that dance. The 1 minute you outperform them, if you're super excited and they're bored as fuck, you're dead. You
No,
know,
that's
you
very
really have
interesting
to get
point that most people don't talk about, bro. Like that's why we're doing this episode right here. Is most people don't even talk about the hello. You know, they're not like, but everybody knows when you get that guy's like hello, you're like, this dude's already annoyed, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And then, we got to find it. And then the next thing that comes up for me is, piercing their bullshit. Okay. Every person has a wall up. Your mom has a wall up, your dad, your kids. We can all relate to that. Right.
Mhm.
But for some reason, when we deal with sellers, we're like, how dare you? How dare you not give me all the answers on our first conversation?
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
even know this
Like
person.
anyone yeah, go talk to your teenage kid and see how often they give you all the answers on your first conversation. Okay. It's like we have to really understand what these people are going through. So, a couple of advice I really have for that is one is you don't want to think about what you're supposed to say next. Okay. I have people, well, Nick, because I train cold callers, it's what we do,
Mm,
right? So,
mm.
Nick, what do we say? I feel like I'm always going to say the wrong thing. Here's what I say to that. If you're thinking about what you're going to say next, you're always going to say the wrong thing. If you're thinking about what they are going through, you're always going to say the right thing. And I think that that's extremely important. Don't be like, oh, what's the line? What's the line? What's the
Yeah.
line I'm supposed to use? Oh, I can't remember. No, instead it's, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to your cat. And then you just really understand wow, and then really, really go with it. So that's kind of one thing that I really recommend doing is slowing it down and then really meeting them where they're at and not just trying to force them through our process.
Bro, great point when saying like, hey, we a lot of people expect us to know exactly why they're selling, what's the motivation, what's the problem, why they're how fast they need to go. Man, you just maybe this is even the third time you call them. Maybe they don't even feel that comfortable yet. Because I've talked to many sellers who have gone with me or gone with other people, and to find out it's just like they felt more comfortable with that other person, right?
Yeah.
So great point. One thing I want to point out as well is like you're saying is if I feel that there's something off, if I feel like they don't like me, I feel like if there's something going on, maybe they're busy, I call that out. I just feel it, right? So again, like you said, don't think about what you're going to say. Just feel like have a normal conversation, whether you're in person. When you're in person, you're not like, what should I say? What should I say? Because if you do that, your conversation's probably not that good. So same thing on a phone. You're like, hey, I can sense it sounds like you're maybe in the middle of something. Is it okay if we chat again later? I don't want to be a bother. Just calling you about the property. Now, if they hear that, like, oh, this guy cares about my time. This guy is actually not just trying to bulldoze me. Nobody wants to get bulldozed ever.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That never works, man. If you've ever been called by these people where you say no and they bulldoze you, I just sit there and I smile and I'm like, this guy's I'm gonna stop him eventually. It's ain't
right.
no.
Yeah. Or even hang up. It's like, and that's one thing. That's one thing I say too is like, it's not my goal to get my clients annoyed leads, right? That's not, and then I had a mentor tell me a long time ago. He said, Nick, I said, hey, do you want to sell? No. Oh, I would say something like it was literally like my first month of cold calling. Oh, are you sure? Blah blah blah. And he was like, Nick, shut the fuck up with that. Okay, like you're not going to talk anybody into selling. All right, that's not what these calls.
They're like, wait, hold on. Hold on. I might actually.
That worked. It worked. I wasn't sure. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Now let's flip that. When you ask someone if they've ever, we like to ask, have you ever considered selling before? Now I call that leaving that wide open. Okay.
Right. Open-ended.
Yeah, exactly. And so now it's not like you consider selling in the last 30 days. No, click. Okay. Well, how about ever? So what that does for us is we can catch them now in hesitation. No. And then now we could say, oh man, it sounds like you may have hesitated there where you and the wife bring it up or something. And that's a great opportunity there because getting the hesitant lead to have the conversation a little bit longer is extremely important. The other thing that I'll touch on is disqualifying the lead too early. I feel like the number one plague to investors is their ability to quickly disqualify a lead. They didn't say the right number, click. They didn't say the right distress reason, click. They didn't say they want to sell fast enough, click. And I think that is such BS because we have to stay on the phone longer. I spoke to one of my highest level clients that we have.
Yeah.
And I may have shared this last time, but he told me how he trained his acquisition managers. And he said that first he has them listen to a recording of this homeowner saying, I will never sell for less than $300,000. And then he shows them that they got it under contract for $190,000. Okay. And then he says, the only rule in this office is we do not hang up the phone. That is the only rule in this office. They are saying that hoping to end the call with you. But if you prove resiliency and can work through these obstacles, we're like a therapist. We're a property therapist. Okay. If you went to therapy and you were like, oh, I got a problem with my mom. And they're like, you're done. You're done. We don't talk about those. Why do we give up so quickly on the property? If that's the case,
Yeah, so that's true. You've had it. I've had so many experiences where they're too high on price. They don't have any motivation in the beginning, but they stay on the phone with you, and you're like, there's they still want to talk. Nobody just wants to talk to an investor about their property unless there's something maybe even deeper.
Right. Exactly. And, having that entire conversation, letting it play out. This is also why I recommend that if you're cold calling, you're not just a wholesaler. You're doing creative financing. You're doing novations. And it's not that you are doing those things, but those are reasons to keep the conversation going. You get it? So like if you have creative financing in your back pocket, if someone says 300,000, you don't hang up the phone because creative financing is an option. So it's like, if you don't have those tools in your tool belt, then it is a dead lead. But I recommend pursuing those tools so you can really overcome that and then stay on the phone longer.
Bro, you've dropped some nugs today, bro. Thank you, Nicholas. And everybody, there's so much that we can dive into with cold calling. And right now it's just been some nugs. So this is what I want you to do. Everybody that's watching this and will watch this. Go and give it a shot. If you don't have a list, go grab one for batch leads, pull it, skip trace it. If you want to scale up, hit up Nicholas. He's got the Lead Mining Pros. He can help you. I know you'll even help them in general, even if they're calling themselves. So you can always hit up Nicholas. I'm here for you. We have a free Facebook group that, we do weekly trainings on. We're here to help because this is the thing, everybody. There's no point in spending all your time in this business if you're not trying to improve daily. If you're not trying to get better, then what's the point? You're staying stagnant, right? If you're not changing, you're not improving. So everybody, I hope that was helpful. Nicholas, you got anything you want to drop before we dip?
Now, I guess one of the main things I'll leave everybody with when it comes to cold calling is don't be too attached to the end result, right? One thing I did I was our first cold caller. I called for 6 months straight and I didn't close a single deal. And how did I keep calling? Well, I didn't decide a closed deal was my victory. What I liked was a happy seller. If the seller ever said, oh, it was really nice talking to you today, or anything that indicated that I brought the relationship where it should go, I called that a win. So this the last thing I'll leave you guys with is leave the leads and the closed deals wins behind. Come up with other micro wins that show you that you're learning and getting better, and then feel good about yourself. If everything's only the closed deal, you're going to end up beating yourself up maybe too much on the way to that closed deal.
I agree. Thank you. I agree with that 100% because when I was cold calling, I was trying to convince everyone. And that's when you're losing every call. You're like, man, I suck at this. It's like, no, man, leave, like you said, do micro wins. Okay.
Yeah.
Do micro things that you're proud of. Hey, I was nice to that person. I left them off on, with a smile. I could tell. All right, everybody. you want to hit up Nicholas, hit him up for Lead Mining Pros. Hit me up if you need anything. We're here to help. And you go out, use Batch, crush it today. Peace out, everybody.
See you guys.